and welcome back to Software and Web Development SWD321 Python Programming. In today's lecture, we are going to take our first real steps into writing actual Python program or Python code. You will learn how to write and run basic programs, what variables and data types are, how to get input from a user, and how to show output on the screen. Let's dive in. Alright, so the first thing we are going to look at is writing and running Python code. Python code can be written in many ways or many places. Here are three common tools you may make use of to write your Python program. First, you can make use of the IDLE. IDLE means Integrated Development and Learning Environment. IDLE. That is what it means. This comes with Python. It's a simple tool for writing and running Python code. As you install your Python compiler, it comes with it, and then you can launch it and start writing your Python codes directly, and then you can run it from there. Another one is what we call the VS Code, which is Visual Studio Code. The Visual Studio Code is a powerful and customized code editor, and you can install it on your system via the internet. You can go to internet, you can Google it and get the installer and install. The third one is what we call the Anaconda. Anaconda is an open source Python distribution, especially useful for data science and analytics work. It includes Python and libraries like NumPy, Pandas, etc. It comes with Jupyter Notebook, a browser-based coding interface called Jupyter Notebook, and it has a great coding interface, and it's nice for learning Python programming. How to get Anaconda? You can go to this website, https://www.anaconda.com. I call it again, https://www.anaconda.com. Then you can download the version for your operating system, then follow the installation steps. It installs Python and other tools automatically. Then you can start making use of the browser-based environment of the Anaconda. Now let us write the first Python program here. Simply you type print hello world in bracket, and then the hello world should also be in double quotes. This tells the compiler or the Python compiler to display this string, which is called hello world, comprised of two words, hello world. It's going to display it on the screen because the instruction means. This line tells the computer to display the text hello world on the screen. The word print is a built-in Python function used for output. To run your code, you can have to save it first with a file extension, which is .py. This is a file extension that tells the computer that this is a Python file or this is a Python document. Then you can use IDLE or another editor to run the file. Now I encourage you students to launch Jupyter Notebook via Anaconda Navigator, and write your first line of Python code as is shown here. Now the next thing that we want to consider in today's lecture is about literals, operators, and expressions. Literals, operators, and expressions. Literals are fixed values used in your program. For example, numbers literals like 10, 3.414, or any figure at all. These are called number literals. Okay, so we also have string literals. For example, hello, Python, in quote. When you put hello in double quote, it's a string. Or when you put Python in a single quote, it also is a string. We also have Boolean literals like true or false. True or false. These are Boolean literals. Alright, then operators. What are operators? Operators are simply the symbols used to perform operations. For example, we have mathematical operators like addition. We have the plus sign, which is meant for addition. For instance, as in example, 5 plus 3 equals to 8. This will add 3 to 5 and then output the result. Or when you have 10 minus 2, the output will also be 8. This is called subtraction. And subtraction, the operator there, which is the minus sign, we operate on the operands. It will work upon the operands 10 and 2 by subtracting 2 from 10, and then the result will be 8. We have another example as 4 asterisk 2. This means 4 times 2. It's a multiplication operator, and that asterisk is used in Python as an operator that multiplies 2 quantities together, as in 4 and 2 here. So the result, which is 8, is the result obtained after the operator, the multiplication operator. We also have a division operator, which is a slash, a forward slash. This forward slash, for example, if you have 16 divided by 2 or 16 slash 2, this will divide 16 by 2, and then the result will be 8.0. Normally in Python, when you divide, the result is going to be in decimals. Unlike many other programming languages, it's the same thing. The next one we have is the modulus. The modulus is a remainder operator. For example, if you divide 9 by 2, you will surely have 1 as a remainder. So the output will be 1. So when you divide 9 by 2, instead of a normal division to give you something like what do you have? 9 divided by 2, you should be having something like 4.5. Now here is going to give you just 1 as your result, or as the output, because its concern is about the remainder and not the result when you divide. So the remainder will be 1, because 9 we divide by 2, you have 8 being splitted into 2 to give you 4 each, you understand, and then 1 will be remaining. So this modulus uses a percentage sign. The percentage sign is used for that. Now the next thing is about expression. An expression combines literals and operators to produce a result. That is what we mean by an expression. In any expression, whether mathematical or any other expression, it makes use of the operators, the operands, and then combine with the literals. I mean the literals combine with the operators to form an expression. For example, we have here x is equals to 5 plus 3 asterisk 2. 5 plus 3 asterisk 2, and this will result into 11. That becomes an expression, and the result of the expression shall be 11, because first is going to multiply 3 by 2 to give you 6, and then 6 plus 5 is going to give you 11. That is what we call operator precedence. In every expression, the operators have their own ranks, or what we call the precedence. Which operator can be evaluated first, and which one follows in that order to the end. So that is what we call operator precedence. So in this case, when you multiply, multiplication is in the it occupies the higher precedence than the additional operator, which is the plus. So guess the result of simple expressions before running them. So that is what you need to do. Now the third part of our lecture today is going to look at the variables and the naming rules for variables. What is a variable? You all know that a variable is needed in programming because it's going to designate a space in the memory where you are going to store values, which can be can be used in the program while the program is in execution. For example, if you say you want to add two numbers, for example, if you want to add 1 and 3 together, then first of all, as a programmer, you have to create a space for 1 to handle 1 first, and then you also create a space that is going to store 3 before you add the numbers together. And also, if you add the numbers together and you still want to store it somewhere, you still need a variable or a space in the memory. So any space you need in the memory to store your value or the literals that we have talked about, then you need a variable. You need to name it, you need to give it a name, and that becomes a variable name. So we can say variables are used to store data that can change. That is, the value of a variable does not remain fixed throughout the program. It has to be altered. So the program has the ability to alter the value of the variable anytime. Think of them as labels on storage boxes. In case you have storage boxes, physical storage boxes, you have to label them and give them names. That this box is a container that is going to take or that is going to store this, and that one like that, and that is what it means. When you liken it to variable, that is what it simply means. For example, now let's look at this short code. We have name equals to Alice. This example now labels name as the name of the variable, and then Alice as a literal that is assigned to the variable name. Then the next line takes age equals to 25. 25 is seen as the literal which has been assigned to the variable age. So age is a variable and the name of the variable. Alright, so for this example, name holds the string value and age holds a number, as can be seen. Now let's look at the rules for naming variables. Variables have to be named, and there are rules that you need to obey or to observe before you name your variables. You cannot name your variable anyhow because of the syntax of the program, the programming syntax. This programming language allows you to name variable following these rules. Number one, it must start with the letter or an underscore. Your variable name must start with a letter and not a number. And also, if you don't want to make use of a letter, then you can start with the underscore. The underscore. I hope you know what an underscore is. Look at it here. Yeah, and that is it. For in this example, name, an underscore, then name. Or you may have an underscore and then followed by a number, because we said it must not start with a number. So it may start with an underscore and then write number 5. Or you can start with an underscore 1515 and so on. It's all right. The second rule says that it must it can contain letters, numbers, and underscores. These three can be combined together. For example, if you can have Samik 1. So Samik, this is made up of letters, then an underscore there before 1 as the number follows, and that number can be any number. So that's just an example of it. Rule number 3 says they are case sensitive. They are case sensitive. For example, age written in capital letter A is different from age written starting with small letter a. So small letters are treated as being different from capital letters. I hope you get that too. All right, then last but not the least of the rules, variable names should be meaningful. For example, use student name instead of X. If you are referring to student name, then you can use student underscore name to represent your variable name. You understand? Instead of just using X. X can mean anything arbitrary, and then you may not actually follow what you are talking about in your program. That is why we use high-level programming language, because high-level programming languages allows you gives you the liberty to write your program in such a way that you can understand what is happening in your program very well, so that you don't get confused on the way. For example, if we just use a variable name as X, and when you go further in your code, I don't know the number of codes or lines of codes that your program will contain, you may get confused as to what actually X stands for in your program. But in case you say age, then anytime you call age, you know that yes, this has to do with a number, as talking about the age of a person, how old the person is. You understand? All right, so you should try to know the valid and invalid variable names. Make sure you compare the variable names that are valid and the ones that are invalid. All right, now the fourth part of our lecture today is considering the input and output in Python. The input and output. Output, use the print function. For example, print welcome to Python, as you can see. Then for input, let's make use of this. You use the input function to get text from the user. For example, name is equals to input in bracket, what is your name? Then print hello, then you concatenate using a plus the name. So the name will be the name that was entered when running the program. It can be any name of the user, will now be attached to this print. So the print output, the print function will now output hello plus the name of that person that is using the program, or the person that is the user of the program, or that enters the name, that enters his name or her name, in case, as the case may be. Now input is always read as a string. Input function is always read as a string. To use it as a number, then you have to convert it first to number, and this is how you do convert it to integers. Or to int. For example, you say age equals to int, then in bracket input, then how old are you? You understand? That's that line. Age equals to int, input, how old are you? Then the next line we now take it, print next year you will be age plus 1. It's going to add 1 to the age, and this one is accepted because age has been the value you entered, or the value the user entered, has been converted from a string to int. So you can now add, supposing it hasn't been converted, if you add 1 to it, it should give you an error message. You flag an error message because the input there is used as a string, so it cannot be added. Now the int as a function that converts a string into an integer. It is a function that converts the string into an integer value. Therefore, by using int before the input statement or the input function, now changes the value that the user is going to enter on the console into an integer. So that is what happens. All right, now the conclusion of our work today, and we have a task here for you. Today we learned the following: how to write and run a Python program. That's the first thing we did. And we also learned what literals, operators, and expressions are. These three concepts, we learned them today. We talk about literals as normal values that you assign to your variables. Operators as being the symbols that we use to carry out certain operations in your program. Then we talk about expressions. We say a combination of the literals and operators form an expression. Okay, then we look at how variables work and how to name your variables properly following the program rules. Okay, we also learned how to use print statement and the input statement, or what we call the print function and input function, for basic interaction. That's what we did, all that we have considered today in this lecture 2. All right, we have a task here for you students. Here is your task. Write a program that asks for the user's name and age. That is a task for you. Write a Python program that asks for the name of the user and then the age of that user. Number 2 of your task, you are going to print a greeting and tell them how old they are they are going to be in the next year. write a statement, write a Python code that is going to print a greeting message to the user, and then it's going to tell the user how old he is going to be in the next year. Try changing variable names and adding new input feeds to see what it's going to look like. So that is your task after today's lecture. Let me give you a brief example here. Look at it here. Yeah. Name equals to input. What's your name? Age equals to int. Input. How old are you? Print hi. Name. Next year you will be age plus 1. That's simple. That's how simple it is. Python is a very simple programming language. Now, I encourage creativity in your code. Make sure you are creative enough. So you can also play along by adding favorite color, city, and so on to your code, so that you get conversant with this. You can make use of any of the development tools, either the IDLE, or you can make use of Anaconda. I prefer using Anaconda because it's very user friendly. You can write and run your code there and then, and it becomes easy. Now, thank you very much for your time today. We have come to the end of today's lecture. Before we go, kindly like this video and share it to other friends that may find it useful. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Samik Digital Lectures, our YouTube channel, for such lectures, so that you can continue to get more of our lectures. Click the notification button so that you'll get reminded anytime we upload new content on our channel. Thank you for helping our channel to grow. This won't cost you anything because it's going to be free. It's just for you to press those buttons and subscribe.